Have you ever felt like your kindness made you a target? That every time you did the right thing, you were met not with appreciation but with silence, or worse, betrayal? You show up with honesty in a world built on masks. You offer trust in a culture obsessed with manipulation. You choose patience while everyone else pushes, shouts, and wins. And slowly, something begins to erode inside you. Not your goodness, but your belief that goodness matters at all. This is the hidden tragedy of moral integrity in a morally bankrupt world. Nietzsche once said, "He who fights with monsters should look to it that he himself does not become a monster." But what happens when the monster is not one person, but the system itself? In modern life, we are told to be kind, to be decent. But those who rise to power often do the opposite. They lie, manipulate, deceive. They smile in public and scheme in private. And society, instead of condemning it, applauds it, so long as it's dressed up in charisma and wrapped in success. Just look around. The honest man is often the one struggling to pay rent. The loyal friend is the one left behind. The gentle parent is blamed when their child breaks down. Meanwhile, the arrogant climb higher. The ruthless win awards. The manipulative are called leaders. It's not just unfair, it's soul-breaking. And yet, here's the most painful part. Good people start to question themselves. They ask, am I too soft? Am I naive? Should I change? This internal erosion, this corrosion of belief in virtue, is the greatest tragedy. Because when the good lose faith in their goodness, the world truly begins to rot. But let me ask you, has kindness ever made you feel like a fool? Have you ever told the truth and watched it cost you everything? Have you been loyal to people who disappeared the moment things got hard? If yes, you're not alone. You're not broken. You're just awake in a world that often rewards performance over principle. Let me tell you about Daniel, a teacher I met who believed deeply in fairness. He gave second chances. He stood up for his students. He refused to fake scores just to please the system. And what did he get in return? He was demoted, labeled as difficult, pushed aside for younger, more flexible staff. But here's the thing. His students remember him. Years later, they reach out to say, "You were the only adult who believed in me." That's not just a consolation prize. That's legacy. Because in Nietzsche's view, the strongest man is not the one who conquers others. It's the one who holds on to his values while being beaten by the world. So if you're a good person in a toxic environment, don't let the world redefine you. Your pain isn't proof you're weak. It's proof you haven't conformed. And that is strength. In a morally distorted world, survival often depends not on truth but on illusion. It's a world where being authentic is seen as weak, where telling the truth makes you naive, and where power doesn't belong to the most ethical, but to the most strategic. And here's the paradox. The better you are, the more honest, the more loyal, the more kind, the harder life often feels. Why? Because those who lie rise. Those who flatter get promoted. Those who play games win followers. Meanwhile, those who live with integrity, who refuse to manipulate, who don't gossip, who speak plainly, are seen as too intense, too sensitive, too idealistic. This isn't just a personal problem, it's a cultural disease. We live in a society that rewards performance over principle, and the tragedy is not just that bad people succeed, it's that good people begin to give up. They stop believing in goodness itself. They lower their standards. They start to play the game, not because they want to win, but because they're tired of losing. But Nietzsche warned us. When virtue becomes a liability, the decline of a civilization has begun. Let that sink in. A society that makes virtue painful to practice is not enlightened. It's collapsing from the inside out. Have you ever noticed this in your own life? That when you're quiet and genuine, people overlook you. But when someone else exaggerates, manipulates, or pretends, they get applause? Maybe you've worked in an office where the one who took credit got promoted, while the one who did the actual work was forgotten. Maybe you've been in a relationship where your honesty was seen as too much, while someone else's lies were accepted as normal. That is the world Nietzsche was warning us about. A world where morality isn't measured by action, but by optics. Where public image is king and character is irrelevant. And so the good begin to doubt, not just the system, but themselves. Let's be clear, there is a difference between being liked and being respected, between being nice and being good. To be liked, you adapt. To be good, you stand. To be liked, you hide your opinions. To be good, you speak them. To be liked, you blend in. To be good, you often walk alone. And that's why the good suffer. Because in a society obsessed with applause, the quiet courage of integrity is invisible. But invisible doesn't mean powerless. In fact, Nietzsche believed that those who suffer for their virtues are the ones closest to transcendence, because they have chosen the harder path, the lonely path, the real path. And the world doesn't understand them because the world is too busy performing. Let's face a brutal truth. Being good in a corrupted world is not just hard, it's isolating. And it's not the loud rejection that hurts most. It's the quiet indifference. It's when your honesty is met with silence, when your loyalty is repaid with distance, when your effort is ignored while others cheat their way to reward. Have you ever felt it? You stood up for someone and they vanished when you needed them. You spoke truth in a room full of silence, and suddenly you were the problem. You held yourself to a higher standard, and people told you to relax, be less intense, just play the game. This is what Nietzsche meant when he said, the greatest tragedy is not that the bad thrive, it's that the good suffer alone. Because this loneliness isn't just about lacking friends, it's about lacking a world that understands you. And so many good people begin to doubt not just the world, but themselves. They ask, is there something wrong with me? Why do I feel like I don't belong anywhere? Why does being honest feel like a liability? This is the burden of virtue. You carry values that the world no longer values. You speak truths that others are too afraid to hear. You live with integrity in a society that calls it inflexibility. But Nietzsche reminds us, this suffering is not a flaw. It's proof of consciousness. It means you see too clearly, you feel too deeply, you refuse to sleepwalk through life. And that's not weakness. That's awakening. Think of a lighthouse. It doesn't blend into the shoreline. It doesn't chase boats. It simply shines silently for those lost at sea. That's you. Your goodness is not useless. It's not outdated. It's rare. It's radical. And in a world drowning in performance and pretense, your authenticity is a silent act of rebellion. So don't dilute it. Yes, it's exhausting to always take the high road. Yes, it's lonely when no one else seems to care. But every time you choose principle over popularity, you carve out space for others to do the same. You become a signal in the noise, a quiet force that says, it's still possible to live with dignity, even here, even now. Because remember this, it's not the loudest person who changes the world. It's the one who holds the line when everyone else folds. In a world obsessed with noise, performance, and external validation, there's a form of power so subtle, most people miss it entirely. It's not charisma, it's not dominance, it's integrity. Not the kind you post about online, not the performative virtue signaling that gets applause, but the quiet, unshakable commitment to live by your values even when no one's watching. And Nietzsche knew this better than anyone. He warned us that goodness, when left unguarded, can be devoured by the wolves of this world. But he also believed that true power lies in the ability to suffer without losing your soul, to be bruised, misunderstood, and still choose to remain whole. He wrote, "He who has a why to live can bear almost any how." That why, your values, your inner compass, is what separates the free from the enslaved, and it's exactly what the world will try to make you forget. So what does this mean in practice? It means holding your truth when it's inconvenient. It means staying silent when gossip is the currency of connection. It means walking away from money, love, or comfort if it costs your dignity. That's not weakness. That's radical courage. And here's the twist. This kind of strength doesn't look like strength to most people. It looks like detachment. It looks like solitude. It looks like someone who doesn't care enough. But in truth, it's someone who cares so deeply that they refuse to betray themselves for approval. Have you ever seen someone walk away from a crowd because their soul said, "This isn't right"? That's integrity. It doesn't win popularity contests, but it wins peace. And in this world, peace is the ultimate rebellion. Because when you have peace, you can't be manipulated. You can't be bought. You don't perform. You exist fully, firmly, and fearlessly. You become a mountain in a world of shifting sand. People might call you distant, cold, too serious. Let them, because while they're chasing temporary applause, you're building something unshakable inside. And one day, when their world collapses from the inside out, they'll look at you, not because you're loud, but because you endured, not because you impressed, but because you stayed. So if you've ever been told